Hello. In this video, we'll be going over IRS Form 8453-TR. This is the e-file declaration or authorization for Form 1045 or Form 1139. So each of these forms are requests for tentative tax refunds based on certain credits or losses that you may be claiming when you file your tax return. So IRS Form 1045 is for individual taxpayers, people that are filing Form 1040 returns, and Form 1139 are for corporate returns, just as it says right here in Box 1A and Box 1B. So we're going to go through this. There are three parts to this form, and on page 2 there are step-by-step instructions, which we also cover in our in-depth article. We'll put the links in the show notes, or you can go to teachmepersonalfinance.com, type in IRS Form 8453-TR, and you'll see the article appear. Now, there are many versions of Form 8453. These are e-file declaration forms for different types of tax returns. Rule number 1, be sure you're using the correct one. If you're using tax software, that shouldn't be that difficult. We're going to go top to bottom just to walk through how this should look. So at the very top, you see the tax year beginning from beginning date, ending date. So if you're a calendar year taxpayer, this would look something like now. Obviously, we would not be doing this as we are recording this. This is in the middle of tax filing season, so we would not be completing this form and then turning around and filing a tax return to claim the refund. You could file for a tentative refund mid-year in the middle of a tax year to indicate that you're expecting this tax credit when you file down the road. So if we're in February of 2026, you could be filing this mid-year, like say June, July, in anticipation of claiming the refund ahead of the 2026 filing season, which would be in 2027. So we're gonna pretend that we're completing this on behalf of John Doe as an individual taxpayer, but I will go through the examples of what you would put if you were a corporate taxpayer, because there are slightly different information fields based on whether you're completing Form 1045 or Form 1139. So if John Doe is an individual taxpayer, he would be checking box 1A. If he's filing on behalf of his S corporation, it would be 1139. So in 1045, those taxpayers would fill out 2A, 2B, 2C. They would skip 2D and E and then go to 2F. Form 1139 filers would complete everything except for 2C, which is the net section 1256 contracts loss. So for John Doe, let's just say that these are all items that are specifically from certain information fields on your Form 1045. Generally speaking, tax calculation software is going to automatically populate this form. So let's just go ahead and assume that everything is $1,000. $1,000 of the general unused general business credit, $1,000 of a net operating loss. We will put links in our show notes to the forms, not only the 1045 and 1139 forms, but also the underlying forms where you would be calculating these for your Form 1045 or 1139. So since John Doe is an individual taxpayer, we're going to skip line 2D, line 2E, put in this amount here, right? So again, all of that is going to be simply reflective of whatever's on that underlying form. In part 2, John Doe, and if he's married, then it would be John Doe's wife, Jane Doe, are going to make the declaration, and then they're going to do they're either going to authorize their tax return preparer, which is known to the IRS as one of their titles is the electronic return originator, which means as the ERO, they're also, in addition to preparing the tax return, they're the ones that electronically file the return, and then the taxpayer is giving them authorization to enter a PIN, and then the taxpayer will sign this. Or what they will do is they'll enter their own PIN as the signature on that Form 1045. So only check that box if you're entering a PIN, and then the application for that tentative refund is filed using a practitioner PIN. So generally speaking, your tax return preparer will guide you through all this. So if you choose this field, then you're going to assign your own PIN, and then that's going to be what the ERO decides to put in there. So let's just say that their electronic filing number or electronic filing identification number and their self-selected PIN is going to be different. So now if John Doe, another part of part 2, if John Doe is married to Jane Doe, she would check one or the other box. So she could put that she's going to enter her own PIN and that she's going to electronically sign her own tax return. So the ERO, if most of the time, the ERO is going to be the same as a paid tax preparer. So you would have their signature here. The paid tax preparer use would be completed here. So let's see. If the application is not filed using an ERO, then you would not complete part 3. Generally speaking, the ERO would also be the paid preparer. So for most cases, if your paid preparer is completing this, they're only going to complete the top part and not this part here. So if you see that, that would be the reason why. So again, this is a pretty straightforward form. It's going to be one of those things that most people just gloss over, but I felt compelled to create this video since this form was published by the IRS a couple of weeks ago. So just in case you have questions about what this form is and why you're being requested to complete it or put information into it, that's what you need to know. As I mentioned, we're putting links in the show notes to resources we've created about all the forms and underlying topics mentioned in this video. So if you like our articles, please subscribe to our newsletter. If you like our YouTube videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, please hit me up in the comment section. Thank you very much and have a great day.